Today on Northern Revolutions, it's contest time again. This time, George Allen is doing a contest to reach 400 subs. So stay tuned. Hey, Violent community, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm doing another contest entry. George Allen, LPs and CDs, is doing a contest to push for 400 subs. George has got a great channel. I recommend it. I'll leave the link for it in the description. He wants us to do a contest today where we show 3 to 5 albums featuring singer-songwriters, preferably in the folk, country rock sort of genres. And also wants us to keep our video to 7 to 9 minutes. I ramble a lot, so I got to get going on this. Before I do, though, if you could do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button, I'd appreciate it. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at northern_revolutions. So let's see my contest entry. When I started this channel, I wanted to focus a little bit on some of the incredible music that we have up here in Canada that just doesn't get played outside of our country. And that's part of the reason why I called my channel Northern Revolutions, because, you know, we're in the north and I'm spinning records, and I just, every once in a while, like to shine the spotlight on some great music that doesn't get heard amidst the massive volume of music south of the border. So in that spirit, all of my entries today are Canadian. So here we go. The first one everyone will have heard of. This is Gordon Lightfoot. We have an incredibly rich singer-songwriter tradition in Canada. Neil Young, Gordon Lightfoot, Joni Mitchell, Ian Tyson. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Gordon Lightfoot is one of the founding fathers of Canadian popular music, I would say. Just absolutely revered as an absolute legend. Still around. I think he's like 140, but he's still around, still making music. This is his album Sundown from 1974. This was his only album to reach #1 in the US. And the single off of here, also called Sundown, was his only single to reach #1. The other hit off of here is Carefree Highway. But I mean, if there was ever a singer-songwriter that epitomizes what is Canadian music, it's Gordon Lightfoot. The second one I want to show is Jim Cuddy. I mentioned all those big names, Lightfoot and Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and so on and so forth. Jim Cuddy is sort of the next generation. He and Gord Downie, who was the lead singer and songwriter for the Tragically Hip, who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago. Those two guys are sort of carried the torch for the next generation of musicians. Jim Cuddy is again an absolute legend in Canadian music. One of the two frontmen for the country rock band Blue Rodeo that I rave about all the time, and people are probably sick of me talking about. He's been writing songs for almost 40 years now. He's done a handful of solo albums. This one's not his best. His best is an album called All in Time, but unfortunately you can't get it on vinyl. This is Countrywide Soul. This is an album that was recorded with his band live off the floor in his barn. And it's sort of a retrospective of his solo songs and some real deep cuts from the Blue Rodeo catalog. And he does a cover of Rhinestone Cowboy by Glenn Campbell. And that's a really good analogy. Jim Cuddy is very much the Canadian Glenn Campbell. I think that's a pretty good way to frame what he's like, but an absolute legend in Canadian music. Okay, the next one. This is actually an EP. This is Alan Doyle. That's him right there. Alan was one of the founding members of a band called Great Big Sea from Newfoundland. They were a folk rock band. Great Big Sea disbanded years ago. Alan's been touring solo for years. I've talked about Alan before. He's awesome. This is an EP that he recorded in the pandemic with a couple of members from his touring band. Kendall Carson, his fiddle player, who's a friend of mine. Corey Tetford, his guitar player. And then this guy here was his producer and also played on the album, a guy named Joel Plaskett, who's a rock singer-songwriter from Eastern Canada. So this is an EP of sort of Newfoundland folk music. It's called Back to the Harbor, because Alan's from Petty Harbor, Newfoundland. A great folk rock, but more folk than anything, EP by an amazing singer-songwriter, Alan Doyle. The next one I want to show, no relation to Alan Doyle, Davnet Doyle. Davnet is a singer-songwriter from Toronto. I would call her music folk rock. She's also in a band called The Heartbroken, which is a little more rock, a little less folk, but this is kind of a folk rock record. She's been around for 25 years. This was her most recent record from 2019. It's called Liquor Store Flowers. Just a fantastic folk rock record. Love it. She's an incredible songwriter, an amazing singer. Just a great record. And last but not least, this is Lindy Ortega. Very country. Lindy is a singer-songwriter from Toronto, though for many years she was based in Nashville. I now think she's out in Western Canada somewhere. But during her stint in Nashville, she did, I think, 4 or 5 albums. I've got all of them. This is her second album, I think. It's called Little Red Boots, which was kind of her trademark for a while. This has a very sort of 1950s country sound, and she sort of has the vocal stylings of an early Dolly Parton or Emmylou Harris. I think is probably a pretty good frame of reference. Just a very enjoyable record. This is an autographed copy. I've met every one of these people except for Gordon Lightfoot. Anyway, side note. Yeah. So there you go. There's a country record. So there you go, George. Those are my 5 entries into your contest, which I think is fantastic. It's kind of inspired me that I think I'm going to do a contest in the next month because I haven't done one yet. Anyway, congratulations on your 400 subs milestone. Well deserved. Enjoy our channel quite a bit. And good luck to everyone else that's entered the contest. That's all for me today, everyone. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Northern_Revolutions. Catch you on the flip side.